Welcome to today's explainer. It's actually incredibly wild to think about. You can take two kids, they grow up in the exact same country, go to very similar schools, and even earn pretty much the exact same salary as adults. And yet, they can end up in completely different financial universes. One is just constantly struggling with debt, living paycheck to paycheck, totally stressed out for decades. And the other, they're quietly building wealth, accumulating assets, investing on autopilot, and eventually they just become completely financially free. So why does this happen? Well, it's kind of a mystery to most of us, but the reality is that the divergence starts way before adulthood.
Look, here's the uncomfortable truth that we really need to talk about. Rich families don't just pass down trust funds and cash, they pass down money behavior. They are passing down these deeply ingrained little beliefs, tiny everyday habits, and completely invisible rules that totally govern how they interact with capital. And the crazy part is, most people never even realize they're missing these rules. Because financial habits, they are usually inherited emotionally long before they're ever inherited mathematically. Just imagine a 7-year-old sitting at the kitchen table, just coloring, while their parents are intensely arguing over a stack of past due bills. That child absorbs that anxiety, the fear, the sheer scarcity around money way before they ever sit in a math class. Before you ever learn what a stock is or how taxes work, you are absorbing attitudes from your environment, whether that's avoidance, impulse spending, a total obsession with status, or pure stress. And those emotional patterns, they quietly, secretly shape your entire adult financial life. So while wealthy families are casually dropping massive financial lessons just through their everyday actions, most adults end up spending their 20s and 30s literally just trying to unlearn the destructive habits they accidentally inherited.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this simple, tiny phrase comparison basically captures the entire psychological divide. Some kids grow up constantly hearing one thing: we can't afford that. But other kids, they grow up hearing, how can we afford that? Now, I know that sounds like just a tiny difference in vocabulary, but psychologically, oh man, those are two completely different universes of thinking. One mindset teaches absolute limitation. It literally tells your brain to just stop looking for answers. The other mindset, that teaches problem solving. It forces your brain to immediately start looking for pathways, for opportunities, and for leverage.
My name is Infinite Capital Mind, and in this explainer, we are going to unpack exactly why some people quietly build wealth while others just stay totally financially stuck. We're going to cover 1. The invisible wealth gap. 2. Money is a tool. 3. Assets over income. 4. The 2 types of debt. 5. Time is most valuable. And 6. Build wealth quietly.
All right, let's get right into rule number 1. Money is a tool. So the very first major mindset shift we absolutely need to make is moving away from this toxic idea that money exists primarily to reward yourself. You know the drill. Have a bad day at work, go buy something. Crushed a big project, treat yourself. Feeling a little down? Do some late-night online shopping. Got a raise? Immediately upgrade your lifestyle. Our entire society, and honestly, massive corporate industries, are completely built around exploiting the psychology of emotional spending. I mean, we live in an era of totally frictionless consumption. You're scrolling on your phone after a stressful day, an algorithm serves you the absolute perfect targeted ad, and boom, with one tap, a package is on its way to your door. Human beings are just naturally wired for that immediate gratification. Your brain absolutely loves that instant dopamine hit. But wealthy families teach their kids something radically different. They teach them that money is absolutely not an emotional escape. It is a highly strategic tool for creating future options. They intentionally introduce friction between earning $1 and spending $1. Because if money becomes a tool, instead of just a temporary emotional band-aid, your entire behavior fundamentally changes. And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world impact of that shift. Imagine two 22-year-olds, and they each get a $5,000 bonus. Person A immediately blows it on a vacation, some designer clothes, and the newest gadgets. Person B, however, treats that money as a tool and drops it straight into investments. Now, at first glance, person A looks way happier, right? They've got the exciting lifestyle, the visible rewards, but look at the actual math. Invested at roughly a 10% annual return, person B's $5,000 turns into roughly $13,000 in 10 years. And in 30 years, it's $87,000. That right there is the massive, undeniable, tangible cost of emotional spending from just one single decision. So bringing it back to our core concept here, rich families understand this math on a deep level. They actively teach their kids to pause and ask one simple question: will this purchase make me richer later, or is it just going to make me feel richer temporarily? They are totally normalizing delayed gratification, making sure kids learn early on that not every single dollar is meant for consumption. Actually, scratch that.
They learn that some dollars should literally be turned into workers. That's the golden rule here. Poor people work for money forever, while wealthy people teach their money to work for them.
Moving right along to rule number 2, assets over income.
Let's completely expose the trap of the high income. Middle-class families usually focus heavily on income, right? They're always asking, what job pays the absolute most? And hey, don't get me wrong, income absolutely matters. But wealthy families, they focus way more on assets. Why? Because income can disappear overnight, but assets just quietly keep producing money. Let me paint a picture for you. There are literally doctors out there making $300,000 a year who are flat broke and living paycheck to paycheck. I'm serious. They're wearing golden handcuffs. They've got the massive mortgage, the 2 luxury leased vehicles, the exorbitant private school tuitions, and the country club memberships. If they were to stop working for even a month, their entire financial world would completely collapse under the crushing weight of their monthly obligations. Now compare that high earner to an ordinary person making, say, $80,000 annually, but they're just consistently, boringly investing in index funds, retirement accounts, and maybe some real estate over 30 years. The high earner is just building a mountain of liabilities and future stress. But the modest earner, they are building assets and future freedom. And eventually, the asset builder quietly wins every single time. Real wealth isn't just about what you earn. It is entirely about what you keep and how you grow it.
You know what's incredibly ironic about all this? Actually, wealthy people very often don't look wealthy at all. And that's simply because actual wealth, things like index funds, maxed out retirement accounts, home equity, is completely invisible to the naked eye. But liabilities? Oh, those are highly visible. Luxury cars, expensive watches, designer clothes. And social media platforms have completely distorted reality by heavily rewarding this visible consumption. People see it and they start copying the appearance of wealth instead of learning the actual mechanics of wealth. That's exactly why wealthy families pass down this blunt but absolutely brilliant piece of advice. Don't buy things to impress broke people. Which perfectly sets up rule number 3, the 2 types of debt. Most of us are taught to just fear debt entirely, like it's the plague. Or even worse, we blindly accept it as just a normal, unavoidable part of adult life. But wealthy families teach their kids nuance. They teach them that there are 2 very different pathways in your financial brain: productive debt and destructive debt. Destructive debt buys depreciating lifestyle choices. We're talking credit card debt, luxury car loans, impulse spending. But the real hidden psychological toll of destructive debt is that it literally steals your future choices. Think about it. If you are weighed down by heavy consumer debt, you absolutely cannot take a pay cut to pursue a dream job. You can't start that business you've been thinking about. You can't afford to take any risks because you are literally forced to keep working just to service your past lifestyle choices. Productive debt, on the other hand, that buys appreciating assets, businesses, real estate, or targeted education with a massive return on investment. The absolutely critical question they teach is this: does this debt create future income, or does it just create future stress? So, the crucial point here is really understanding leverage. A financed luxury car is almost certainly going to lose value over time, all while demanding a hefty monthly payment straight out of your pocket. An investment property, though, by using productive debt, it might produce monthly rental income and actually appreciate in value over time. Those are completely fundamentally different financial behaviors. So many high earners use destructive debt to artificially accelerate their lifestyle way before they've actually built true wealth. Sure, you feel richer immediately because you have nicer stuff, but mathematically, you are moving backward, totally trapped by your own lifestyle obligations. Wealthy kids are taught a hard truth. Just because you can afford the monthly payment doesn't mean you can actually afford the purchase.
Moving right along to rule number 4. Time is most valuable.
Wealthy families make it a point to teach their kids about compounding incredibly early in life. And it's not because they're all secretly financial geniuses. It's because they understand that time is the ultimate, undefeated multiplier. A 20-year-old investing small, totally modest amounts consistently can absolutely obliterate someone earning way more money who just waits too long to start. And by the way, compounding doesn't just work financially, it works behaviorally across your entire life. Small habits repeated consistently literally morph into enormous outcomes. Eating just slightly better every day, that compounds into a significantly longer, healthier life. Reading just 10 pages a day, that compounds into massive, undeniable expertise over a decade. Life is basically just one giant compounding machine. And when you teach a child to actually visualize this relationship between time, consistency, and growth, you completely unlock their future. Let's just quickly break down the math on this because it's mind-blowing. If person A starts investing a mere $300 a month at age 22, and person B waits until age 32 to invest that exact same $300, assuming roughly historical 10% annual returns, just watch what happens by the time they hit 65. Person A, who started early, ends up with around $2.4 million. Person B, who waited just 10 little years, ends up with around $900,000. Think about that. That 10-year delay literally cost them $1.5 million. And it's absolutely not because person A invested dramatically more of their own cash. It's simply because they gave their money more time to work.
The real hurdle for most young people isn't actually a lack of money. It's a psychological barrier. Retirement feels completely imaginary when you're young. So investing feels like this optional, far-off thing, while spending money feels incredibly emotionally urgent right now. Rich families counter this by just making investing feel completely normal from day one. Their kids grow up casually hearing words like equity, stocks, ownership, and investments passed around the dinner table alongside the potatoes. So by the time they hit adulthood, investing doesn't feel intimidating. It doesn't feel scary. It just feels ordinary. Removing that psychological fear of investing is honestly one of the greatest, most valuable gifts a parent can ever give.
And finally, we arrive at rule number 5. Build wealth quietly. Everyone wants the dramatic success story, right? Crypto millionaires, the overnight business unicorns, the wild lottery-style transformations. But the hard, unsexy truth is that the vast majority of financially successful families built their wealth incredibly slowly, totally consistently, and completely quietly over decades. Wealthy families actively teach their kids not to confuse attention with actual success. I guarantee you the real millionaires in your city are almost certainly not the ones driving the flashy supercars or posting their designer outfits online. No way. They are usually the ones running totally unglamorous businesses. We're talking laundromats, regional logistics companies, commercial plumbing operations, or they're just normal folks quietly stacking away funds and index funds month after month. The loudest people financially are very often the least stable financially. Why? Because real wealth actively, purposefully avoids unnecessary attention. Wealthy people understand a fundamental, ground-level truth. Looking rich and being rich are two completely different games. Looking rich requires constant, never-ending spending. Being rich requires owning.
And here is the exact mechanism that destroys so many people financially: lifestyle inflation. Literally every single time their income increases, their lifestyle just magically expands to swallow it right up. You get a raise at work? Boom, it immediately turns into a bigger apartment or a brand new car. They literally never capture the gap between what they earn and what they spend. Wealthy families resist this aggressively because they truly understand opportunity cost. To them, a $700 car payment isn't just $700 today. Invested over a few decades, that exact same payment represents hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost future wealth. Every single recurring lifestyle expense secretly steals a piece of your future freedom.
So listen up, because here is the best part. You absolutely do not need to be born wealthy to apply these rules. You can literally change your entire financial trajectory starting today with these 5 actionable steps. Step 1, audit your financial beliefs. Really dig deep. What did you learn about money growing up? Was it fear? Was it scarcity? Step 2, learn asset thinking. Before buying, ask yourself if a purchase increases or decreases your future freedom. Step 3, automate your investing. Just set it and forget it because consistency matters infinitely more than intensity. Step 4, avoid lifestyle inflation like the plague. When your income goes up, increase your investments first, not just your spending. And step 5, think in decades. We all completely overestimate what we can do in 1 year and wildly underestimate what compounding can do in 20.
Wealthy families pass down invisible systems, mindsets, tiny habits, behavior patterns, and those invisible systems quietly, efficiently shape entire generations. But the absolutely beautiful thing here is that money skills are completely learnable. You can start building those exact same invisible systems for yourself right now, today. So will you be the one to change your family's financial future? And I don't mean through some flashy overnight success, but through consistent, intelligent decisions repeated quietly for years. If this explainer helped you look at money just a little bit differently, hit that subscribe button, comment below telling us which money rule hits you the hardest, and please share this with someone who really needs to hear it. Stop playing the financial game blindly and start building your infinite capital mind.